This has Cowboys fans worried, as with the second preseason game in the books, there's one part of this Cowboys team that has not lived up to expectations at all. We'll tell you all about it right here, right now on Cowboys Digest. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. We're happy you chose to join us here on today's show. As always, if you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free, and we're covering the Dallas Cowboys every single day of the year. And with the season just around the corner, you're going to want to make sure you're up to date on your Cowboys news. Yesterday, the Cowboys faced off against the Baltimore Ravens in Week 2 of the NFL preseason, and let's just say it did not look so pretty. 31-13 was the final score. However, I start with this. Brian Schottenheimer has said that this is going to be a very vanilla preseason because there was a lot of changes coming to the offense, and well, he doesn't want to, let's say, show his cards too quickly. With that being said, though, there are parts of this team that do look and honestly on the stat sheet seem a bit concerning. And the big part of it is this. The Cowboys' edge rushers, they have yet to record a sack through 2 preseason games. Now, I know, Micah Parsons is now not out there on the field. Donovan Ezeraku is still a rookie, but Dante Fowler, there's a couple of guys that I'm like, all right, Marshawn Kneeland, I expect a little bit more from them. And so, what exactly is going on? Blogging with the Boys had a whole kind of update on this and talked about it, and that's where we kind of begin today's report. Quote, with Micah Parsons still without a new deal and holding out during the Cowboys training camp practices, the Cowboys have relied on Marshawn Kneeland, Sam Williams, Donovan Ezeraku, and James Houston heavily through their first 2 preseason games, end quote. And of those 4, funny enough, it's Houston who has been doing the best. In fact, of the 4, he is the one who has the most QB hits over those 2 games. Now, like I said, they still have not recorded a sack. And the pressure has been there for Houston, and Ezeraku has gotten back to the quarterback once in each game. But at the same time, when the expectations for this defensive edge rusher group was to be one of the top ones in the NFL, and we're 2 preseason games in, and yet they don't even have a sack, it's cause for concern. And again, when you look at the outside, you're saying, okay, Coach Schottenheimer is not trying to be, all fluff here. He's just going out there and making sure nobody else gets hurt and really just using it as a warm-up. So the scores, the stats, to some extent, they don't matter. But you can watch these games and understand that the presence of Micah Parsons is missed without him. And you can watch these games and understand that without Dak Prescott, this team is screwed. There's things that you can pick up on in preseason games. And as of right now, on both sides of the ball, obviously Dak Prescott is not hurt. They're just not playing him because, well, there's no really point to. But on the defensive side, not to say that Micah Parsons should play, not to say that Micah Parsons, needs to be out there for preseason games. But it should show you how important he is and why a contract for him is so very important. And now, it's cause for concern for a lot of different reasons, because if you take a look at this defensive depth chart, you understand that a big portion of your strength comes from the defensive line. And Mazi Smith is still Mazi Smith. There's nothing really that's changed about him. He's gone from 1 tech to 2 tech and all these things, and honestly, he looks okay this preseason. I'm not going to say good or bad just because, again, they're playing so vanilla in that aspect. But Marshawn Kneeland cannot get back to the quarterback. Dante Fowler, who was really, really good last year with the Washington Commanders, cannot get back to the quarterback. Donovan Ezeraku, who is a rookie, has done better than both of those guys. Sam Williams, we had a lot of expectations for him, and he hasn't played as much as probably I would have liked, especially in a preseason format, but he has not gotten back to the quarterback, and that's why I sit here and look at James Houston, and when we signed him, what was that? I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago, it was a mindset of me that, okay, he's probably not going to make the roster. This edge rusher group is too good for a guy like James Houston to be on there. However, I see him making the practice squad if he can perform like he's performing. But now I kind of like, okay, well, James Houston's performing better than maybe some of the other guys. I mean, he's out there and really doing a lot of good things. We saw him get back to the quarterback a couple times with the Rams, saw him get back a couple times to the quarterback with the Ravens. Obviously not in the sack format, but he hit the QB, and QB hits are something to definitely keep track of. So let's go back to the blogging with the Boys and kind of look at their article. Saying, quote, Houston, the newest addition to the Dallas defensive line room, has been the most impressive edge rusher so far in the Cowboys preseason matchups. But the others have struggled to generate any consistent pressure. So far, they don't have a single sack between them in the preseason, end quote. It's not exactly the best thing to look at, and I go back to the projection of our defensive edge rushing group. Parsons obviously is hopefully going to be out there. I know I'm seeing all the comments. What are you talking about? He's under contract. He's going to have to play. Le'Veon Bell was under contract. He didn't play. Chris Jones was under contract with the Chiefs. He didn't play week 1. There is a potential out there where Micah Parsons comes to week 1 without the new deal and goes to Jerry Jones and says, suck it. No. And maybe it is just week 1, but that's week 1 against the Eagles on opening night of the NFL season. It's going to create a message. Dante Fowler, Marshawn Kneeland, again, really would like to see more of them. I try and hold my tongue because I know it's preseason and they're playing Vanila. They're doing a lot of different things. It's not going to be the way this is going to be in the regular season, but I still expect a little more when you're facing guys who are fighting for roster spots on the other side of you. Donovan Ezraku, I'm not going to say much about him because he's a rookie. He's getting back to the quarterback. I expect him to get better and better, especially, getting the contract late. That can kind of be sometimes a little mental escape to get back that contract and go full force in training camp. Sam Williams, Peyton Turner were the other projected two to make the roster. Peyton Turner has literally done nothing. I cannot even say I've seen him on the field, basically. But again, I want to go back to literally from the mouth of Brian Schottenheimer, and this is again from Blogging with the Boys, saying, quote, from the mouth of Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer, the Cowboys are currently playing things pretty vanilla on both sides of the ball. He continues on to say, quote, but with some key contributors along the defensive line struggling to generate pressure throughout the preseason, that could be a bad sign for the Cowboys' ability to generate pressure during the regular season, even when Micah Parsons returns to the lineup, end quote. And I think that's the biggest point I'm trying to get to here is Micah Parsons with the Cowboys changes the team. That is understood. And I can sit here and complain about the contract, and it's not going to change anything. But the overarching theme of all this is that they are not getting pressure without Micah Parsons. So what's to say when Micah does return, it's going to be another mindset for these defenses that are facing off, or the offensive lines that are facing off against Cowboys. And they're going to say, we can double team Micah Parsons because I don't have faith in these other players to reach the quarterback. And with Micah Parsons, you want to have him to where he can go out and perform at a top-tier level. And hopefully the season this year was he wasn't going to have to face as many double teams. He was going to be able to be on the edge and use that speed and kind of be a little bit, not overlooked, but have other people around him who can get back to the quarterback so that if you do focus mainly on Micah, guess what? You've got Ezraku on the other edge going off to the quarterback. You got Dante Fowler, you got Marshawn Kneeland, Sam Williams. And none of them are doing that. The only one who, in fact, is James Houston, who we signed not a couple months ago and is fighting for a roster spot. I'm not trying to sit here and say that these guys are lacking the effort or anything like that. I'm just more or less showing that this is a concerning factor. And I ask you, as Cowboys Nation, to weigh in on this. Let me know down in the comments section, rate your concern level with the Cowboys edge rushers. I want you to scale it from 1 being, I'm not concerned at all, it's preseason, this is dumb, or even talking about it, to 10, where you're thinking, okay, we went from having one of the best defensive edge rushing groups in the NFL to maybe have a below average one. Let me know down in the comment section, scale it from 1 through 10. I'm probably going with a 7 here. Personally, I am concerned more than an above average one, just simply because I expected to have at least 1 sack through 2 preseason games from one of these guys, but I'm also not to 10 because it is the preseason. These guys understand, and Coach Schottenheimer understands that this is effectively a warm-up. And not to say that preseason doesn't matter, because preseason is a big time for a lot of growth and development, but that's exactly what it is, growth and development. So just because you're not getting sacks doesn't mean you're not growing as a team, not growing as a player. And for that instance, I think 7 is a perfect mark, because I'm definitely above average concerned, because, again, I expected some sort of sack, especially when you look at this defensive edge rushing group. But I try and hold my tongue again. It is preseason. So we have just to wait and see. They have their final preseason game next Friday at 5 o'clock. We're going to try and be live for that, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us for that, as we'll be watching it live together. So obviously we are really excited for that and really excited for everything coming this season. So again, if you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free, and we're covering the Dallas Cowboys 365 days of the year. We appreciate each and every single one of you watching, and we'll see you next time here on Cowboys Digest. Peace out, guys.